Hello, actors! I'd like to talk today about Meyerhold's biomechanics. So, let me give you a little bit of a lecture, a little bit of background, so you have something to think about. Vsevolod Meyerhold's career began as an actor, like most of us, performing roles in Konstantin Stanislav's Moscow Art Theater. He had a very, very broad reach. In those Moscow Art Theater productions at the turn of the century, Meyerhold was one of the main stars. He was a lead. Meyerhold left the Moscow Art Theater in 1902, where he moved on to directing plays, but he was invited back by Stanislavski 3 years later to experiment with non-realistic styles. Now, Stanislavski himself had realized that one single approach couldn't work for every play and wouldn't really work for every individual actor. Each actor is going to learn pieces of different techniques and be able to put them together into a tool, into a style, and into a training that best fits the individual actor. Meyerhold was much more physical than Stanislavski was, but obviously they remained in good relation. And so when Stanislavski asked Meyerhold to come back and work on this experiment of non-realistic styles, Meyerhold believed that he had a lot that he could offer Stanislavski on this topic. Meyerhold believed in a much more presentational style of acting, as opposed to Stanislavski's representational style of performance. Biomechanics soon became the principle behind a non-realistic, stylized, and movement-centered system of actor training. Meyerhold developed this system between 1913 and 1922. It contrasted clearly with Stanislavski's system, in which the actor first created a character from within. So that's the internal character creation, the psychological approach. Meyerhold's biomechanics instructed the actor to develop a character from without, first employing external movements. Now, this was not completely divorced from Stanislavski's approach, because Stanislavski did believe that there should be a movement or a physical action-based aspect to the work. But as he grew older and became more refined in his work, he did shift more strongly toward a psychological approach. And Meyerhold was not against that, but he just felt that the physical part of acting was being neglected. And frankly, we are actors. We act. There's action in what it is we do. And so he felt there needed to be a more physical, refined approach. Biomechanics can be seen as an integral part of both actor training and performances. Meyerhold's biomechanics instructed the actor to develop a character from without, first employing external movements, as I said. Meyerhold believed movement to be the most powerful form of theatrical expression. Now, if you talk to many dancers or choreographers, they'll have quite a bit to say about how much they believe a gesture, a movement, and even just a pace, a tempo of how you walk across stage can be a powerful form of theatrical expression. How much storytelling can you do even just with movement and choreography? Quite a bit, actually. Although the well-known etudes, this is what Meyerhold worked with Stanislavski on, was a performance called the etudes. They were never seen on stage during a performance, and they ended up being relevant only as part of Meyerhold's actor training program. Meyerhold was influenced by the physical nature of commedia dell'arte, circus acts, pantomime, even classic mime. His actors were trained in gymnastics, circus movement, and ballet. Like Jerzy Grotowski's Poor Theater, which we'll talk about a little later on, in Meyerhold's system of biomechanics, bio meaning body, mechanics, how does it work? His system of biomechanics, the actor was paramount and central focus. In fact, he kind of felt that there should be a minimalist approach to theater, that it was really about the communication between the actor and the audience, and the rest of it was decoration. The sets, the costumes, the lights, the props were all wonderful supports, but essentially unnecessary. For Meyerhold, he felt that the actor may now need to be conversant in the laws of mechanics and of proexmics, which is space, knowledge. But this knowledge, even if it is expressed in new scientific terms like proexmics or mechanics, this knowledge would be keys into identical priorities for the performer. These identical priorities being what? The need for precision, for coordination, and for clarity of expression, and the requirement that an actor has rhythmic understanding and is responsive and disciplined. Each movement in biomechanics is important and deliberate. Superfluous movements on stage were eliminated. For the actor, biomechanics involves you prepare for an action, you get into the right state of mind and body at the moment of action, and then the reaction to what follows. The basic skills of a biomechanical actor are precision, balance, coordination, efficiency, rhythm, expressiveness, responsiveness, playfulness has definitely got to be in there, and discipline. Now, after 1917, which for both Meyerhold and Stanislavski was the Russian Revolution, Meyerhold began to use industrial type language like factory business language in order to describe actor movement on stage in terms of efficiency. He was influenced by the American industrialist Frederick Winslow Taylor, who believed a worker in a factory would be more efficient if he could break down his tasks into a series of separate actions. Meyerhold translated Taylor's concept of efficiency of action into an efficiency of actor movement for the stage. There has been articles written about this, and Meyerhold is very famous, and there are still schools today which focus completely on this balance, precision, physical cleanliness, coordination, action, reaction. The industrialization of gesture, it is stated categorically that on stage the actor might become an automaton, a mechanism, or a machine. That would just be the physical aspect. Clearly, you would want to also bring heart and soul and emotion to the work. But to begin with, to begin the rehearsal process, Meyerhold would want you to be that refined, that precise, that rigorous, as if you were almost an automaton, a machine. He felt that the actor is required to master the culture of industrialized gesture, that is, the gesture of labor, built on the principle of economy of effort. The gesture should be linear or of a geometric order. Now, you can see where the limitations of Meyerhold come. He is in reaction to Stanislavski's emotion, psychology, the feeling of things, which sometimes you're feeling things hugely internally, but you can't express it on stage. Meyerhold took the opposite and was in reaction to Stanislavski, and he wanted everything to be very clear on stage, the gestures, The rigor, the way that you approach the work should be almost robotic, hoping that the emotion would, of course, follow the gesture. The work of the actor in an industrial society will be regarded as a means of production vital to the proper organization of the labor of every citizen in that society. Now, they're coming from a communistic country in which they had just gone through a revolution, and the worker, the laborer, was glorified. The ability to find nobleness in the smallest of jobs was really something that they believed in and wanted to see mirrored even in their art, even on stage. Meyerhold was making direct links with Soviet Marxist philosophy, connecting the efficiency of action in workers for means of production, like labor, with the efficiency of movement for the actor in terms of means of expression. Biomechanics was perfectly suited to one of Meyerhold's other theatrical achievements, that of scenic constructivism. What's that? Well, scenic constructivism was already a popular movement in the visual arts, and Meyerhold adapted its form for theatrical set design in many of the productions he directed. So Meyerhold was coming from a different place. He started as an actor, but he became very, very political. He became very tied to the visual and the look of the set. From Stanislavski's point of view, you could almost get rid of the set. It should be a communication between the actor and the audience. For Meyerhold, he wanted a presentational and an almost robotically pure way of expressing. Constructivist theater sets typically would include treadmills, ramps, catwalks, trapezes, turning wheels, multiple levels, and machines. He wanted to be able to give the actors a chance to give a little flash, a little show of exactly how finely tuned they had made their tool, their bodies. And so having a set that allowed them to be as physical as possible was a hand-in-hand concept there. The most famous Meyerhold production that showed the world both biomechanical acting and constructivist set design was The Magnanimous Cuckold, done in 1922. Another well-known production, very funny production, was The Government Inspector from 1926. The human body was perceived as a machine. Man had to learn to control that machine. It was the theater's function to demonstrate the fine-tuning by training that machine, that human mechanism, to its finest point. Again, this goes hand in hand with dance and dance training, ballet, gymnasts, mimes, to be able to execute the perfect mime of even holding a cup could take years if you really wanted to refine it to a point of perfectionism. Increasingly, Meyerhold's non-realistic avant-garde experimental theater productions came under close scrutiny from government censors, as much of his work was risky and opposed to Stalin's official policy for the arts. Stalin, politician, didn't get it. He didn't get the whole art thing. He just wanted to see a story performed on stage. And he wanted to see socialist realism. So he wanted to see real-life stories performed out on stage. And Meyerhold was going much more for an abstract, dance-like, physically impressive way of expressing a story. More in the form of a dance production. Sadly, Meyerhold's life ended soon after that. He was arrested and executed by a firing squad in February of 1940. But his style, his tools, his way of rehearsing, his perspective on the refinement of the actor's body and trusting in whatever body you had. Now, dancers believe that you need to have a specific type of body and you need to be able to hold it. You need to understand line as if you were a visual artist, like a painter. Meyerhold felt that you could have any body. You could be short, tall, thin, fat. It didn't matter. Whatever body you were given or had grown into, you needed to refine that body and how it moved and how it gestured to a fine point, so that whatever director asked you to do, your answer would always be yes. Can I roller skate and tap dance at the same time? Yes. Can I go on a catwalk and dance and sing like you see in Kinky Boots? There's a treadmill and everyone gets on it singing and dancing. Yes, that would be something that Meyerhold probably would have loved. So that just gives you a taste of what is biomechanics and who conceived of this particular acting technique, which was Meyerhold. And he comes from a Russian background, just like Stanislavski. That would bring us up to an acting technique of about the 1930s, the Depression era, which also explains why his focus was on the laborer and on mechanics, like factory work and robotics. All of that was very, very new at the time and very exciting to play with in experimentation. So we'll play with some of that in class too. Bye.